The time has come. The cult of S.T.E.V.E. sails for Cydonia. We have only one soldier. She is armed with all the grenades. And one psyamp. She also has one rocket. Because why not? So, welcome to Cydonia. We have brought in S.T.E.V.E. We have brought in S.T.E.V.E. We have brought in S.T.E.V.E. who has discovered a cyber disk. You only have 84. Okay, fine. Let's move you down. You only got 4 shots. This is not a very efficient member of the cult of S.T.E.V.E. And 2 minutes. Okay, apologies for the interruption, and also apologies because this is now post-commentary. So, initial problem is this cyber disk. However, as you can tell by here, the oldest and wisest of the member of the cult of S.T.E.V.E., or the members of the cult of S.T.E.V.E. we still have active, unable to shoot it from there because the Avenger is in the way, leaving me with just the launcher and the plasma tank. So at this point, we're exploring everywhere and trying to find the entrance pyramid. Now, in theory, this should be findable, but there's quite a lot of teleport, or not elevator areas, so it doesn't entirely match up. On the actual Cydonia inner base mission, it works but just fine. So here I decide, alright, we're going to use up one of our grenades here and we'll see what we can do. But, it should be fine. And in fact, doesn't even work. So therefore, nothing has changed. It's still all the cult of S.T.E.V.E. doing this, as naturally it should be. So plenty of movement. The baseline, it should just be Cyberdisc and sectoids. And as you can tell from there, we got a bit lucky with terrain, but one of our members is being hit. Plasma should not worry the Secapod. Steve is clearly fine. And as you can see here, they have fancy armor. Because these are no ordinary sectoids. These are Guardian sectoids. What's the difference? Well, there is a difference. But we'll get to that difference when I actually find out what it is. Advantages of post-commentary at this stage. Still, looking for the Axis Pyramid is the plan at the moment. So, Steve damaged a little bit on that, but 4 hit points out of his 100. Not really going to bother him. The bigger problem, potentially, was the explosions, but apparently we got away with that. And find another Guardian Secapod. And apparently the minigun Steve has a bit of a fault here and only fires once. Which, you know, useful. So the Cult of S.T.E.V.E. manufacturing, I decide it's probably fair to at least see what we're dealing with. And we're dealing with a Sectoid Guardian, which does have a psionic attack, by the way. So, armed with heavy plasma and a grenade, that tells me pretty much everything I need to know about these guys. So I decided to just hide him in the corner and have him utilize his equipment somewhat. All in all, that seems like a good turn. Steve mask is on. And here I just have a quick check to make sure they are still vulnerable to things. It also gives me a rough idea of the psionic strength of them, which is not high. So we can still potentially use Scarlet as a makeshift psionic S.T.E.V.E, which I suppose is what we're going to have to use her for. So 4 S.T.E.V.Es against Cydonia. I mean, I was always going to try this. I was hoping to get a few more in and just have the full history of the Cult of S.T.E.V.E available. But, yeah, that didn't quite work. So what we discovered from here is a couple more sectoids. And our launcher tank gets a little shot up, but is otherwise undamaged and moves away. So we have 2 there to worry about. And no ability to move to see what's going on. Good news is, Guardian sectoids still die to alien grenades. If now, based on my reverse XCOM experiences, there should be around 4 cyberdiscs and about 12 to 16 sectoids. But of course, this is the final mod pack. There are surprises. I mean, Guardian sectoids is surprise enough. Thankfully, though, the psionics are fairly useless because we are S.T.E.V.E s. But apparently, our weapons are also kind of useless. And unfortunately, because of the snapshot requirements, that's unable to make the shot there. So that leaves Mini S.T.E.V.E, who has also just gone 1 time unit too far to make a shot this turn. But still, we're marching up. And yeah, honestly, this looks doomed. If we didn't take Scarlet, we would actually be doomed on this mission, I'm fairly sure. But it's all for good. So we know we have 1 launchable, and I figure, you know what, it's time to actually get that going. We only have 4 shots throughout the whole mission, but there's 2 of them over here. We need to find them. And hence why I do the shots like that. We hit something, but no actual deaths. And no ability to see them either. So we're doing well here. Meanwhile, more guns. We know they're armed with heavy plasmas, so they're very capable of destroying a tank. The S.T.E.V.E is the only one that is probably going to be mostly immune to gunfire, but not actually immune, of course. Here I'm figuring, alright, we have to leave them alone and just hope that the pyramid's on this side of the map, since this is where all of us currently reside. So, S.T.E.V.E. Actually, sorry, Plasma S.T.E.V.E. Down to 37, so it's less than half hit points now. Moves along. And we find another one. This one, though, ate a couple of plasma rounds. The one advantage, I suppose, with the way the S.T.E.V.E s are set up is that our 2 plasma tanks have basically unlimited ammo. The only limitations are on the not quite blaster bombs. And here I am actually just scanning, trying to find this darn exit pyramid. As I say, it's not entirely accurate to use the shadow effect. It's easier on Cydonia because the brain has its unique 4-square pulsing animation, which you can use to identify it. But here, we're trying to look for that kind of elevator pattern, but in a few places. We know it's going to be green, so if we do get a vision of it, we do that. Okay, so Mini S.T.E.V.E just literally just keeping an eye on things. We're not expecting an attack at this stage. But I'm now figuring, alright, we probably need to look at dealing with those and possibly even sneaking our way over to that side of the map. So Scarlet is about as armoured as any of the tanks at this stage. I don't know if the actual values entirely align. And yeah, no ability to get any... I was kind of looking for the 2 of them because I could obviously minigun and get rid of them to a little bit of an extent, but you know. Yet more Guardian sectoids in these parts of the pyramids. But the plus side, more things for S.T.E.V.E to deal with. And 1 down. Its accuracy has diminished. It's only taken 4 points of damage so far, but it is weakened from that. And here I'm thinking, all right, these are all small pyramids. Darn. I know that the exit pyramid is slightly bigger than the rest. At the very least, has a reasonably sized ground area. So at this stage, it's now just trying to work out where could it be, and hoping that I've not just gone right past it. So from here, we're figuring it must be in the corner over here. Because honestly, we're running out of other places it could be. We know there's 2 Guardian sectoids around this area, and that's not counting anything else that's actually in these parts of the pyramid themselves. The good news is, Steve gets another thing to kill. Even on the final mission, we are finding a use for a mini Steve. Okay, plasma tank wandering down, keeping a snapshot available. Launch tank is, because I'm still not 100% sure for certain that we've not got there, but we have discovered there's at least one more in the pyramid. There's a pyramid back there that looks like it might be bigger. So that's where we will go next. 10-5. And 10-6. No new enemies discovered. But 1 cyber disk discovered. And it feels like I was aiming at the wrong part of the cyber disk there. So again, duck and cover. As much as I'm saying that the second mod should be immune to plasma fire, it's definitely resilient to plasma fire. It's not invulnerable to it, so... Alright, minigun tank can't move, so here I'm just making sure of these pyramids. And I get a bit excited about this bit before I realise that's just the 1 square on the teleporter pad, like all the others. Yep. Which means... Nope, definitely not that one. And Scarlet gets shot at as well, which is helpful. So yeah, the grand plan of being starting right next to it. The plan I did to beat, well, I didn't really beat him in the overall Sidonia mission, but I did at least stop him, beat him in the first sector, was basically by sitting right next to the pyramid on turn 1. Sometimes you get that lucky. I didn't this time. I was thinking about launching a missile there, but again, we're trying to avoid the Guardian sectoid in one of these areas, and we're also trying to avoid getting shot up by the Cyberdisk. Which is really awkward, because I unfortunately didn't leave myself enough movement to get down. And the underside of those tanks is weaker than the tops of them. Mini Steve takes a couple of hits. There's plenty of stuff firing at us from that direction. But we still have all of our vehicles intact. Alright, Sector Steve. So I'd take a couple of snapshots rather than the auto fire. Does get the kill, and that is 1 Cyberdisk dealt with. So we know that Minigun Steve was attacked, and now we can see what attacked him. And Minigun Steve has an answer to this. So many bullets. So many bullets. But also I'm noticing that's an edge. So that means the only really remaining place it can be is down there. Hopefully. Unless it is that back pyramid. Since I'm unsure, I'm going to go and check anyway. Yeah, at this stage I am getting a little... Come on, where's this darn pyramid? The cult of Steve demands victory. And that was a great little shot by the plasma tank. So we know that's nothing there. That cannot be it. However, apparently I'm going to move the launch tank. No, I didn't. Okay. It looks as though I was still going to move the launch tank over there. It's been a week since I did the initial recording, so I'm not remembering everything perfectly. And again, we're still not finding the entrance pyramid. Apparently there is no base here, although I'm guessing it must be in that area. Largely because trial and error and we've gone everywhere else. But still, it must be in that area. The good news is we've got Guardians now panicking on us, which means the only thing we have to really worry about are cyber discs. We certainly don't have to worry about that little thing. Okay, here we see a cyber disc, and clearly the only correct answer... I'm not sure who I'm going to minigun in a moment. But there's a correct answer. And the correct answer is going back to the old days of XCOM. I remember in pretty much my first major terror mission, I spent ages trying to kill these things with conventional weapons. Nothing has changed 100 episodes later. We're still trying to finish them off with conventional weapons. Fun times. Also, if you excuse me 2 minutes. Apologies, interrupted again. So a bit of backtrack. Let's see if we can kill this cyber disc. We can't. At least not with you. S.T.E.V.E's a bit far behind, and Scarlet can apparently grab a friend for us. And yes, we can take over cyber discs. It's sometimes good information to have available. Not the most reliable thing in the world to do, as we already know, but, you know, it gets out there, and it does reveal the exit pyramid for us at last. So we know where we have to go. This is also where we need the launcher tank, or a grenade, or the blaster bomb that I was saving. So the plan here is to try and bust a hole through the pyramid walls so that we can move a tank in. And here we're going to take advantage of the usual blaster bomb thing, because blaster bombs do additional damage, or at least affect a bigger area, if they have some vertical movement. So we go for that. And just taking into a few things into account, because it does vary by 1. And that was just near perfect. We now have a 2 wide gap with the door, and we can now move all of our tanks in. Now we just got to get home. Also, we have mind-controlled a sectoid Guardian, who was the one who panicked, hence why he's got no weapon. I think for half a moment about moving him there, then realised that's probably where his weapon is. Let's move him somewhere else. Okay. It's just a case of moving everybody into position, and we will go and attack Cydonia with mostly a fully intact crew. The only problem we got now is we can't see the cyber disc to mind control it again. Guardian behind us isn't the problem. However, cyber disc potentially is. So I actually moved the launcher straight into position, and there's more fire going at us from 2 directions, and we've lost our launcher tank. I mean, it did one of the things we needed to do, but that was one of our cheaty ways of winning Cydonia, was blaster bomb once we know where the brain is. Now we can't entirely do that unless we want to cheat and use Scarlet. We're not concerned about the sectoid on the left because, of course, we know he's got no weapon. At least we know he's got no weapon right now. Now we found that cyber disc, which we've remembered. And our plasma tank doesn't really have a lot of places it can go to help us right now. I decided to take the kill here. But, of course, game has other plans. Not that it overly matters, we know he's got no weapon. But at least we'll be able to see if he goes back into the pyramid. Cyber disc on the move. Sectoid Guardian on the move. And Plasma Tank's down to 13 hit points. Okay. S.T.E.V.E, auto shot. It's counterattacked, and that actually did some damage. So S.T.E.V.E now on 71 hit points. That's very much within explosion range. Alright, Scarlet takes a hit, but she's as well armored as the tanks are, and that means we have at least what we can do Cydonia with a non-S.T.E.V.E entity, if we so chose. And we can also do it with a minigun S.T.E.V.E. Ultimately, this should be all we need. The old guard of the S.T.E.V.E-dom. But we would definitely like to have the other two tanks available for this mission. Definitely. So down comes Plasma Tank. I decided to not save a snapshot right now, because we are probably going to have to hit and run now. Thankfully, panic is still a thing. And now it's just a case of, can we walk into the base? So we move the mini tank just to make some room. Have Scarlet observe outside just in case we can sneak a victory somewhere. Second mod, more attack with 71 hit points. Every reaction fire that goes it is one less that's going in our plasma tank, which should have enough movement to make it, and does. So, part 1, the easy part, is complete. We have 3 of our remaining tanks, and of course Scarlet. Mars, the final assault. Now here I decide to arm the blaster bomb. I have a bunch of grenades, which was my backup plan for blowing up the wall if I needed to. But here we go. So group 1, plasma tank, and the Secapod. And I like the gold feel to Cydonia. I like the design of this. Now we know we should have the usual assortment of Cydonia enemies, ethereals, chrysalids. I don't think we've encountered chrysalids in this entire Let's Play, or if we have, I don't remember it. It was only the once. And yeah, but I do like the gold aesthetic to this. If nothing else, it makes sense that this shouldn't look like a normal alien base. I tried to move Scarlet down into one of the hidden areas because that should be better defended. Unfortunately, not able to do an awful lot from here. And just having a quick making sure of things, I think. And here we see Guardian Ethereals. Which interests me. So we have upgraded sectoids and we have upgraded ethereals, or at the very least different palated ethereals. That suggests as well there's other types of aliens which are going to be Guardian. I hesitate to think what the Guardian chrysalids would look like. So I move the plasma down. The plasma tank is really hurting at this point. 13 hit points out of its 100. And it's unlikely that it's going to be shot at by plasma pistols in this map. So, movements. Now, what I should have done, and I didn't do for a while, was look at where the brain actually is. It's relatively easy to find this out. And I think at one stage I go and start looking at map sections. Thankfully, we have encountered that, and unfortunately, we encountered that. Another ethereal. So, in comes the plasma pod. We see. We look around the corner. Unfortunately, opening both doors, which I think slowed us up a lot with that. And now it's time to see whether the mini S.T.E.V.E can take on an ethereal. Not right now. So, Scarlet moves up. And we go for a mind control. This is purely for self-interest at this point. And actually we find out the mini S.T.E.V.E did a thing. It actually did wound the ethereal. And now we get to look around. I decided to try sidechaining here. I don't think it's actual mind control though. And then I spent ages trying to find it. Recenter. We've morale attacked whatever that was. Probably a Secapod because it was 4 across. I can't remember if I ever work out what that is. But anyway, we have an ethereal under our control and we have ended the turn. So attacking Ethereal is good for us. We do, however, lose 1. Next up, in comes Plasma Tank. This Plasma Hover Tank has... I accidentally fired another shot there, I didn't mean to. Has basically been through the wars, but is still kicking. And there is yet another one. So, auto fire. And another one down. So, the Plasma team here is doing quite well. How's the Mini team doing, though? Currently, not much happening. So, decided to just use him as a scout. We know there's one up there somewhere. And I also know that I really could do with keeping Scarlet alive for backup purposes. But, you know, the plan was always, I wasn't expecting to ever win this mission. And we will definitely be doing one with the normal troops afterwards. This was just a full lols, can the Cult of S.T.E.V.E. claim victory. And so far doing okay. Problems are about to occur. Minor spoilers, but you're going to find out soon anyway. Minor problems are about to occur. So as you can see there is a thing. 2 misses, the thing is still there. I therefore decide to flip round to Scarlet and see if I can do anything about it with the second mod. March on, and we find 2 Ethereals. Can't auto-fire at the back one. We could potentially snapshot, but I decide to hold off and save the reaction fire. And move the mini tank up, because we know there are a couple of things that could be on us soon. Potentially. So because they could see that, and see where those 2 were, they were able to aim a blaster bomb. That was what that little blob thing up there did for them. So that was not a good move for us, in all honesty. So, autocannon still trying to take out the Ethereal. I was trying to get a kill with the minigun somehow. I should arguably move closer, make sure they hit, but alas, poor Steve. We barely knew you. However, Psychic, potentially Steve, has a plan. And that plan is fire with the Ethereals. I thought at some stage I went and checked their stats, because I was a bit confused that we managed this so easily. I then decided to send this Ethereal off to see if we can hunt down whatever was attacking us earlier. And again, keeping an eye on this Ethereal, it might be a best way of winning if it comes to it. So we know there's 2 round the corner. I've already seen the blob thing there, and 2 Ethereals have disappeared. Well, since I can't see them. The second one actually took no damage from that blaster bomb, by the way. This thing is tough. That's why they're so annoying to deal with in the actual game, but it's doing well. Second Steve worked. Unfortunately, that Ethereal has just found out. That also was a Guardian Muton. That was another blaster bomb. At this point, you might join me in feeling this is looking a little doomed, especially as I find another blaster bomb. I decide, no, auto fire. That thing is going to kill us if it lives. We could not allow it to live. Second Steve survives for now. Scarlet now has no Mind Slave. So I decide, you know what? We know where one of them is. Let's go into here. And then look at just the configuration and see if it's worth, you know, hiding or whatever. I decide to hide. And now we're starting to look for what I should have done much earlier. Where is Mustard Brain? Where is our tomato? I didn't go for a full look, though. Scarlet, as you can see, wounded. 2 hit points a turn. Juggernaut armor, though, has already paid for itself. So we're on a clock with Scarlet, but of course we have a Steve. And we found it. So now we know where the entrance is, and I just go quickly up a level to confirm. Because this is the thing you can find. If you go searching for it, that's what you're looking for. That is Mustard Brain. So now, we could use Scarlet to just win, but there's no fun in that. We've got to try and do this with the S.T.E.V.E. Here, I'm 99.9% certain that there is no way for S.T.E.V.E. to get up there, and there isn't. So, we know whatever we do here, we're going to have to do it with Scarlet. Or, I could try some shenanigans. There is still one way for S.T.E.V.E. to win this for us. However, what I did do at this point was realize exactly where it is in relation to me, so I think I moved myself a little later. Alright. Scarlet, however, has just been killed by whatever that was. Meaning all we have is a second mod that can't climb the stairs. Our only method of victory now is, can we shoot the Mustard Brain through the wall? I think here I just decide to calculate exactly where this is in relation to things, and find out that it's actually there. So we're leaving our back exposed to any Ethereals to come down, but up we go. And that is how S.T.E.V.E.'s saved the Earth. That is, after 100+ episodes, the end of the final mod pack challenge. Average monthly rating 767. We made 403 million out of this, spending 278 million. We were rich. Most effective weapon was a Siam, accuracy 24%. We hated snake men the most. We actually went 156 and 0. We didn't fail a single mission. And considering some of the early missions, and considering our first encounters with snake men were still using conventional weapons, that was quite ridiculous, considering. So, that was Open XCOM, the final mod pack. And I've got to be honest, it was fun. At first. I think the problem I had with it, the cool new tech, interesting. The mid-level stuff, interesting. The power creep of weapons, the gradual increase of plasma. Yes, you can get the plasma weapons by basically the second month if you know what you're doing and focus on it in the vanilla game. It's definitely going to take you about 8-9 months. I probably could have got it sooner, but you know, I spent ages on the wrong tech. And I like that aspect of it. I like the mid-game aspect of this. I think the long game, however, the sort of last bit of the game where you are basically building to Cydonia, that was far too long. It was glacial. It was almost Long War mod bad. And I liked the Long War mod again. The early mid-game bits of it where you were building up slowly. I like the build-up. As long as you're working towards something, it's fine. But once you get to the level there, the slowed down pace kind of ruins the game almost a little bit. So that's kind of my dilemma. I like the extended game modes like this. I do like them. But there's always that aspect of, I have been doing this for so long now. And it's not as fun as it was at the start. The start of the game, I loved. All the new stuff, all the new weapons, grenade launchers, weapon types, new ships, new aliens. The new aliens I actually do like. The gazers are a genuine threat. The wasp bites are interesting, although in retrospect they just became floaters. The little nanobot or microbot things that just destroyed us, those were fun. Overall, final mod pack is good, but dear God, does it get grindy, and I'm really not that into grindy games these days. I mean, I like a good RPG, but the reason I like Suikoden 2 more than any others is it reduces the whole grind. Suikoden 2 is a lesson in how to do an RPG without grinding. It's just perfect in my opinion. But enough about other games. Yeah. So, I'm probably going to sign myself off of XCOM clones for a little bit. I might still do some turn-based stuff here. I've been meaning to get onto a few games, which I haven't in the past. The music's also stopped. So I'll stop rambling. We will be coming back to Xenonauts 2, and I think that's going to be the next XCOM game, or XCOM type game I play. We are likely to do another open XCOM mod at some stage. Possibly the X-Files mod, possibly the Pirates mod. I'm obviously gesturing because I'm making a reference to something at this point, or trying to wrap it up. So I'm going to call that a video here. Thanks for joining me. The Cult of S.T.E.V.E. was successful. Therefore, we probably won't do another one. I don't know. It'd be interesting to do a fight. If I could do a reverse XCOM of this, it'd be quite fun. But unfortunately, that requires XCOM utils and different methods. So, Shadowhawk 2012. This was Open XCOM. I hope you've enjoyed it. Ta-ra for now.